Hello, everybody. It's your girl, Tiamorra. If this is your first time stopping by, you're absolutely welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that by the end of this video, you feel very much inspired to go ahead and subscribe and join the family. For my subscribers and loyal supporters, oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much for all the love. Thank you so much for constantly showing up for me and supporting me. I truly appreciate you. I know y'all are probably gonna be like, oh my God, Tia, are you here for another 5 minutes and then you disappear again? No, I pray to God that's not going to be the case this time around. And I'm obviously here to explain to you guys what's been going on, which is the whole purpose of this video. So if you are doing laundry or like some type of house chores or about to go on a road trip, this video will be perfect for you to just prop me somewhere and just listen because it's going to be a little chatty, okay? So without doing too much talking, let's go ahead and get this video. Today's video is going to be about the 10 steps I took to start my reinvention slash transformation journey. Okay, the way I see this video going down is we're going to start off with me giving you guys a quick my understanding of what reinvention means, and then a few reasons why I feel like anyone would want to reinvent themselves, and then I will explain to you guys what caused me to reinvent myself, how that happened, to the 10 steps I took to reinvent myself, and lastly, how it's going. So let's jump right into it. So I'm going to read to you guys because I really want to read exactly what I wrote down for you guys. So reinventing oneself means undergoing a significant transformation in one's identity, behavior, mindset, or lifestyle circumstances. It involves a conscious decision to change aspects of who you are, often to align more closely with your goals, values, or desired way of living. This can include altering habits, changing careers, adopting new perspectives, or even redefining personal relationships. Obviously, a lot of different reasons why anybody would want reinvention, right? But I'll go ahead and give you guys a few that I could come up with for why I think anybody will want to reinvent themselves. So the first one is personal growth. People often seek reinvention when they feel they've outgrown their current circumstances or identity. It's a way to evolve and reach new levels of fulfillment and self actualization. Two, dissatisfaction. Feeling stuck or unhappy with the current state of life, whether in a job, relationship, or lifestyle, can drive the desire to make drastic changes. Three, adaptation. Life events such as a significant loss, a career change, or major life transitions like moving to a new city or having a baby can actually prompt one to want to reinvent themselves to match their new lifestyle. Four, pursuit of dreams. Sometimes people reinvent themselves to pursue long held dreams or passion that they haven't yet acted on. This could involve changing careers, starting a new hobby, or embarking on a creative endeavor. Five, health and well being. Reinvention can also be motivated by the desire to improve physical or mental health, such as adapting a healthier lifestyle, overcoming addictions, or seeking better work life balance. And lastly, but obviously not the least, breaking free from the past. Some individuals choose reinvention as a way to distance themselves from a past that no longer serves them or to overcome negative patterns. Reinvention overall is a powerful process that can lead to a more fulfilling and authentic life, aligning one's actions and choices with their true self. Okay, now that we've gotten out of the way what reinvention is and a few reasons why anybody want to reinvent themselves, why did I go through this reinvention process? Like, what prompted me to want to reinvent myself? But let me take you guys back a little bit, right? So 2022 is when everything really started for me. 2022 was probably one of the most amazing years in my life. I was at my prime at the time. I was doing so well financially, career wise. I was able to travel as much as I wanted to. I was able to shop and buy literally every and anything I wanted for myself. Honestly, I was able to just do a lot and I was accomplishing a lot for myself in that moment in time. I just felt like a new level had unlocked for me, right? Life was good. Life was beautiful. But at some point in 2022, as the year started winding down, I started feeling a little sense of emptiness and I couldn't pinpoint what exactly it was or where it was coming from, right? But I knew that I started feeling like a void in me. I got so confused because I'm like, how is it that I suddenly really have literally every and anything that I want in life, but somehow I feel so empty? Like, what's going on? So I kind of ignored that for a little bit up until October 2022 when we went for one of my cousin's weddings in Mexico. Bro, during that wedding, I think the most alarming thing for me was my weight. I think for the longest time, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I knew I was gaining a lot of weight, but I was like, I still like how I look in clothes. I still like how I look, in my mirror. Like, it wasn't really bothering me per se. When we went on that trip, bear in mind, Mexico was really hot that October. It was really hot. But the thing that was really alarming for me was that I found that I was super hot throughout that trip. Even when I noticed that sometimes people are not exactly as hot, I was very hot. I had to have a fan on throughout. I just had to like try to cool myself throughout. Every time that I was wearing makeup, I felt like my makeup was burning up. I just was like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is not making sense to me right now. And then what really set everything apart for me was on the actual wedding day itself. I remember like we were sitting out because it was an outdoor venue. And I remember just looking around and like people were obviously hot and like, the fan and everything because the sun was really nice and bright. Okay. But everybody was hot, but it wasn't anything like any crazy, like people are just fanning themselves as usual or whatever. But I'm telling you, if everybody was feeling like level 2 heat, I felt like I was on level 4 or 5. Like I felt like somebody put me in a steam room and I was burning. And I'm like, this is not okay. How is this normal? And I knew for a fact that my weight had a lot to do with it. And bear in mind, I was wearing like some spaghetti strap dress. So how was I so hot when I was barely wearing, a lot of clothes? I will put a picture over here so you can kind of see if I can find that picture. You can kind of see like what I looked like that day. And I know at some point my makeup was getting messy because like the heat was just a lot for me. I remember coming back from that trip and I called my cousin. I'm like, girl, I feel like I need to lose weight, blah, blah, blah. And we're just talking back and forth about like, end of the year and like stuff we want to do and all that type of stuff. Now, 1 week passes by. Like I said, all these things, and like I didn't really do anything about it. 1 week passes by, right? And I wake up that one day and I see a skin tag on my body, and I start freaking out. I'm like, skin tag where? Who? Where did you come from? But if you notice, I have skin tags here, but those are hereditary. I've had them for like my entire life. My grandma has in this same spot, so that didn't necessarily bother me. But that new one that showed up, I was like, where are you coming from? What do you want from me? I got so confused. And so I went to Google as usual. I go Google everything that happens. I go to Google. So I type up like, what causes skin tags? Guess what Google told me? Diabetes. You can imagine how devastated I was in that moment. I literally started panicking, freaking out. I remember calling my cousin, like, oh my God, I feel like I might have diabetes. Oh my God, I might be diabetic. I remember calling my sister AJ, bro. My sister is tired of me because my sister is a pharmacist and I call her literally for like everything. Any little thing happening to my body, I'd be calling her. And honestly, she's very knowledgeable. So she'd be helping me out every single time. She does not miss. So props to her brain, okay? Props to having a pharmacist as a sister. Anyways, keeping that aside. I remember calling my sister and calling Stacy, and I was freaking out a little bit. And I scheduled an appointment with my doctor, and I started watching all these videos on like diabetes and like how to like prevent it, not prevent it, like how to take care of yourself if you have diabetes and also. And I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is about to be my life. Like, did I really let myself go this bad? So my appointment was like 1 week away. So you can imagine how like intense everything was for me that whole week. I was just living in like so much like suspense, and it was not the best feeling ever. So I finally get to my appointment. My doctor runs all these tests. And while I'm at my appointment, I also tell my doctor that like I've been having irregular periods. And I Googled it, and Google said, being overweight is one of the reasons why some people have irregular periods. And hey, checks out, I was overweight. So in that moment, I was like, oh shoot, not another issue again because of my weight. So I mentioned that to my doctor, and we obviously did tests to try to see if I had PCOS as well. A day goes by, and the test results are out, and my doctor calls me, and we're chatting, and like, guys, I didn't have diabetes. I was not even pre-diabetic. I did not have PCOS. You can imagine like the rush of tears. I literally busted out crying so hard because I was like, God, you truly love me so much. Like, how is it that I've neglected myself this much? And you've given me a second chance. So in that moment, that was it for me. I made a conscious decision that I was going to change my life. And as I got off that phone call with my doctor, I remember walking into my room, closing my door, switching off my phone, taking a pen and paper, and I was like, you know what? That emptiness I've been feeling this year, let's address it now. So I was like, clearly, there's a lot of stuff about me that I don't like, right? And there's obviously a version of me that I want to be, right? And I know I will like. So I drew up 4 columns on a piece of paper. The very first one was like, who's the ideal Tia? Like, who do I ideally want to see myself as in the future? I wrote all of that down. The next column was everything in my life right now that I don't like about myself and I just don't like in my life overall. I wrote that down. The third column was now that I know exactly who I want to be and the things that I don't like, what is that gap, right? What are the things I need to do in order to be that ideal Tia? I wrote that on column 3. Column 4 was game plan. Now, what are all the life changes I need to make? What are the different things I need to do? Pretty much my entire game plan I wrote on there. So I'll give you guys 2 examples of things so you can kind of understand what was on this like stuff that I jotted down. The very first one was I felt like that ideal person was a girl that was very active and took her life very seriously. She was very intentional and serious about her health and fitness. That's who I wanted to be. And obviously, the version about me that I didn't like was that I had become extremely sedentary. I was not active at all. I wasn't eating healthy at the slightest. So I wanted that to change. The second one was I wanted to be a lady who could do every and anything without necessarily needing people there for me to do it. Now, this came because the thing I didn't like about myself was I was so much of an extrovert that I didn't like being by myself. I didn't like doing anything by myself. I really didn't enjoy my own company. I wouldn't go out to eat if people were not going out to eat. I would just rather order in. I wouldn't do literally any activity down to like sometimes even going to the mall. I wouldn't want to go shopping if I wasn't going with people. I just didn't do stuff without people. I remember how many trips I didn't go on because like I didn't want to go by myself. I didn't want to be that girl anymore. I wanted to be able to do stuff by myself. So those are the 2 examples. So now let's go into the 10 different things that I did to actually start up this reinvention journey. So the very first thing was a mindset shift. So obviously I had a lot of things that I needed to change and I wanted to improve or like better or adjust. And I knew with so many things, when you have a big bucket of stuff, sometimes it could feel very discouraging and it could feel just a lot and overwhelming. I needed my mindset to be as positive as possible. So I spent a lot of my time curating like the information I was consuming, the information that I was like reading, the information that I was listening to. I was just very cautious about all of that. And then I started becoming very serious about listening to podcasts, reading books. And I watched a lot of YouTubers that were like just very like self-help type of YouTubers. I like that type of content a lot. And I even remember this, I don't watch it anymore, but it was this YouTube channel that I used to follow that every single day you wake up, they have like a motivational quote, motivational speech for that day, I should say, not a quote, but a motivational speech for that day. And it was really fulfilled. I really liked it. It felt very energizing. But yeah, so that's kind of what I did for mindset change. And I realized that in the process of my mindset change, I kind of decided that I wanted to leave social media, which was step number 2. So I decided that I needed to take a social media break because I realized that I was addicted to social media and that I spent unhealthy numbers of hours on social media. I'll tell myself I'm gonna do this. Before I know it, I push it to the next day and the next day because I was spending so much time sitting and watching God knows what on social media. Like social media is not running this content, none of the content on there is running. I can finish what I need to do, then watch. But I was not disciplined enough when it came to social media. I was addicted. And I needed to stop my addiction from social media. So I decided that I was gonna take a break and just like go away from social media for a hot minute. And I did just that. So during this period of me being off of social media, guys, I started seeing life in a whole different light. I know it sounds crazy, but to me, life with social media was one thing. Life without social media was a whole different ballgame. And I loved it. I started appreciating like my surroundings a lot more. I was a lot more aware of my surroundings. I paid a lot more attention to my surroundings. I would literally walk outside and be like, the air is so fresh and beautiful today. Something I could have never done before in my life. Like I felt like I was just breezing through life. I wasn't really like paying a lot of attention to actual life. So I think me being away from social media really helped me with like just being a lot more grateful about everyday life. Like, wow, I got to see this day. Wow, this was a really beautiful day today. I did this, and that, rather than sitting on my phone just watching through stuff. So I really enjoyed that, the fact that I got off of social media. The third thing, after being away for social media for a hot minute, the next thing I decided to do was to go into isolation. Now, this sounds crazy, but it was very, very important and essential to my transformation journey. Why? Because, like I mentioned to you guys before, I did not like my own company. I had a hard time doing anything if people were not around. I was just too much of an extrovert, and I just could not find myself just being by myself. I used to be one of those people that the house is meant for sleeping, okay, and not to be in. It's just for time to go to bed. And that's not a good mindset. So I decided to take 4 months out, like 4 to 5 months, and just isolate myself from everybody and everything. Obviously, I was still, taking phone calls and all that type of stuff. But I'll be very honest, you guys. During those 4 months, I was kind of absent from a lot, because I just needed time to just gain a lot of clarity to understand who I am as a person, understand the type of things that I like, understand why it is that like I didn't want to hang out with myself and all this type of stuff. So during this period, bruh, this was one of the most amazing periods because I think I gained a certain level of self-awareness that I am so grateful for. So one thing that I started doing during this period too was I created a self-care jar. And the whole purpose of the self-care jar was it's supposed to help me be able to hang out with myself. I'll read a few things that were in my self-care jar. This is it. One says, make myself a full course meal using a recipe book. Guys, if you know anything about me, you know I love to cook. And I can cook pretty much anything that I set my mind to. I'll learn it and learn how to cook it. So yeah, I pretty much decided that I was gonna spend this time cooking a lot more because that whole year I really did not cook at all. Like it was so bad. Like one thing too, I lived in the same building with my cousin and her fiance, and my cousin's fiance, he's a chef. Okay. So they would feed me all the time. And I literally just would not cook because he was always cooking. He was such an amazing cook. So there was that. So this was one of the stuff that I put. I really used to enjoy these. I don't know if I have pictures of any of the plates that I made before. I think I should be able to find one. If I'm not able, sorry guys. But if I do find one, I'll put it right here so you guys can kind of see. Another thing I put on here was go eye shopping either in person or online. So in person is easy. I just walk in the store, I shop for at least an hour or two, and I time box myself. Then I come back home. Or if it's online, I'll just literally put my phone on silent and I'll just sit there for like an hour or two, just browsing the internet, surfing different websites, and just enjoying the experience. Because I'm a shopaholic, remember. So I enjoyed the process of just like looking at different websites, seeing what new things they had and all of that. And then once my 2 hour mark reached, closed that computer and that was it. And I felt very fulfilled. Like there's an excitement and adrenaline rush when you just add stuff to your cart. Even if you don't end up pressing buy, there's an adrenaline rush that comes with that. And I used to do that too. So another one that I had was bubble bath and movie. Guys, this is kind of when I got into my self-care era deep. Okay. Like I've always like loved taking care of myself, but I think this self-isolation period, my self-care era, yeah, baths are one thing that I love so much. And I think I post these, I usually post these quite often on my Instagram of me doing like my weekly baths. I think I'll put a picture or two of some of my baths here for you guys to see. But I really used to enjoy these. And this is a moment where I'll just spend so much time with myself, right? And just enjoy a movie and soak in really hot water and just, bruh, I love baths. Like, I don't know how to explain to you guys, but they are like, for me, one of my best ways to just like spend time with myself. And then let me read one more and then that'll be it. This one says take myself to brunch. So if you remember I said I didn't like to hang out by myself. So this was me having to take myself out to brunch, and sit there and eat by myself and feel good about it. And I did that. I did that quite a few times. I ended up, honestly, at the end of this isolation period, I ended up hanging out with myself so much that like I go to the movies by myself now. And then when I tell people, people are like, you went to the movies by yourself? Yes, I sure did. I go to the movie by myself quite often now. Um, I hang out by myself, bro. Like nothing stops me. Anything I want to do, I do. I really am like so into myself right now that I feel like I enjoy my company so much. I can really truly entertain myself on a very high level. Like my energy is so high when I'm with myself. But then the bad thing about this self isolation period is that I've now become so much of an introvert and not much of an extrovert anymore. And like I have a hard time like being out in public in bigger groups of people. I now have social anxiety, which is not the best thing ever. I'm no longer able to just like go any and everywhere and work the room and leave with like a good number of connections and friendships and stuff. That's not me anymore. And I feel like I'm trying to find that even balance at this moment in time because I think I overdid the like spending time with myself situation. That now that's all I do, spend time with myself, and I enjoy it. Okay, the next thing was for me to set goals for myself. So setting goals for myself, I made sure to make my goals very realistic. I had a list of goals that I had to meet by the 1 year mark. Then I had like quarterly goals where every quarter I had to complete or accomplish certain things. Then I had monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals. Now I know it might sound a lot by like all these multiple different goals, but guys, for me it worked. I just put everything in my calendar and it reminds me, and I know that it's time to review my goals. So like I don't really forget because my calendar just reminds me. You know how to say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step? In that moment when I was starting my journey, it was like, whoa, I have to make it to the 1,000th step at some point, but I haven't even started one. So it felt so overwhelming and a lot. And what I found that helped me out was making my goals very granular. So if I had a daily goal, weekly goal, monthly goal, it made me feel much better because on a weekly basis, I will feel so accomplished. I'll find that I have a lot more confidence in myself. And I'll just be so proud of myself and very grateful for the fact that like I was able to commit to stuff and stick to it. It made me develop so much more trust in myself. So that's the main reason why I like to like split my goals in that manner. Next was financial. Okay, so the next was finances. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I was a shopaholic. I literally would get myself every and anything that I needed and wanted. But in that moment in time, I was asking myself, like, hey, like you've bought yourself all these things, you're shopping, you traveled so much, you've just done a lot for yourself. And at this moment in time, there's really nothing that you can say that you need per se that you don't have. Unless for like obviously groceries and everyday like housekeeping type stuff. But needs, there really wasn't anything that I could say in that moment in time that I needed so bad that I did not have. So I was like, you know what? It's time to take a freeze. I went on a no spend, like almost a year. I went on a no spend situation, except for things that I had specifically planned out and knew were upcoming. I went on a no spend. I decided I was going to start saving up a lot of money because now I had set up some new goals for myself that I wanted to meet, right? And I'm really proud to say today that like I'm living in so many different answer prayers from all the stuff that I wrote down. And I just don't know, like all the financial goals that I have for myself, I met every single one of them. And I'm literally so proud of myself. But yeah, so that part for the finances, that's kind of like how that looked for me. And then the next one was weight loss. And I feel like that's the most obvious change in me. If this is your first time watching my channel, this is kind of what I used to look like before. And this is what I look like today. To God be the glory. Because, guys, I'll tell you this, my weight loss journey has been the single most difficult thing I've ever had to experience in my life, mentally and physically. Like, don't get me wrong, I always have been an active girl. I used to work out a lot in the past, like in the past, okay? But when I got to this point where I got really bigger than I used to be and very sedentary and very unhealthy, it became 3 times harder, okay? And it was not the easiest journey. And I'm going to be doing a whole video on this, explaining my weight loss and how I went and all that type of stuff. So I'm not going to go into too much details for that. But this was one of the things that was part of my journey, and I'm still on that journey, and I'm so proud of myself and very excited of how far I've come so far. Next one is setting boundaries. So one thing that I've come to realize in this life is that the way you make your bed, so shall you lie on it. And secondly, the way you let people treat you is how they're going to treat you. Okay. One thing I wanted to make sure of was to be very intentional about my boundaries. If I wasn't okay with something, I just want to make sure that I can communicate that in the most respectful way right off the bat, so it doesn't become a habit, or a thing. And then I start to continuously get mad because I during this journey as well wanted to become a person that was very slow to anger. And that's one thing that I can tell you that I have succeeded at, because right now it takes a hot minute for you to really get me at a point where I'm angry. Because now I'm just like, I just have a lot of grace, first of all. And I think I'm just a whole lot more understanding and a whole lot more patient. So it takes a lot for people to get me pissed. And I'm very happy about that. Setting boundaries actually kind of helped me get to that point, because I realized that like as long as my boundaries are set and people are respecting my boundaries, I'm very respectful of other people's boundaries as well. I try to do my very best to make sure that I treat people the way I want to be treated. So yeah, setting boundaries was one of the things that I made sure to do, and it's been beautiful so far. And lastly, and most importantly, was God. I grew up in a Christian household, and I also went to a Christian boarding school. So obviously, I was a Christian by, I don't know if I should say association or by upbringing. Um, and while I was in boarding school, that's when I really developed my love and faith in Christ. After I left boarding school, I'll say I've always had faith in God and believed in God. And like, I would always pray morning and night. And before any meal, I'll equally always pray whenever something bad happened, whether it's to me or somebody around me. I'll pray whenever anything good happened to me or somebody around me, you know? So I always had that. And it's been constant, but I feel like the way I was in my faith in boarding school is not the way I was in my faith as the years were going by. So I decided that, you know what, I wanted to continuously build my relationship with God. And this time around, I'm going to try to make sure that I actually start reading the word a lot more, reading and listening to the word a lot more. One person that I really like to listen to, because I feel like he's an amazing preacher, is Joel Austin. I know there's controversies around him. Yes, 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 yes. But I like to pay attention to the message and not the messenger, okay? Because at the end of the day, he's human. To err is literally human. We're all humans at the end of the day, okay? No matter how perfect it seems like we have to present ourselves, we're human at the end of the day, okay? And we all sin. So I like to just listen to the message and not the messenger. And that's what I've been doing. I feel like he's an amazing motivational speaker. He does an amazing job at delivering the word. So I tend to listen to him a lot. And then also this year, I started going to church. And I really like it because I also really enjoy my church a lot. And I think that was one of the struggles I had with church, because the few churches that I went to, I really didn't like them. And I was like, yeah, I can't be consistent with church if like I don't really like the church. But finally, I'm going to a church that I really like and enjoy. So that's been making it very easy for me to be very consistent, because when Sundays come, I actually look forward to going to church. But yeah, guys, so these are the 10 different steps I took to, start my reinvention journey and get me to this transformation journey. It's led me to this very moment where I felt like this was just like the perfect time for me to come back to YouTube. Why? Because I feel like I've learned so much in my transformation journey and my reinvention journey that I want to come back and just share a lot with everybody. I feel like I've just been experimenting with so many different products on my body and my skin that I can share. I want to share my love for perfume. All of that kind of led to me, coming up with this mindset of the blooming bee, right? And the blooming bee is an individual who's super busy but wants to be able to bring their best self forward in every aspect or avenue of their lives, right? While also making sure not to neglect themselves and take care of themselves very well. Because when you have a full cup, you can pour in other people's cup. But if your cup is empty, there's nothing to pour, right? And you obviously want to make sure that you are your very best self for your own self as well and for all the others around you. So yeah, with all of that being said, this is more so me just letting you guys know that we're doing like a rebrand on the channel. My channel is going to be all things self-care, from hygiene and perfume to health and fitness to self-growth and just everything lifestyle that you can think of, right? That's what my channel is going to be all about. And I'm excited to let you guys know that for the first month or two, I'm going to be uploading 3 videos a week to get the channel up and running. And then after that, we're probably going to scale down to like 1 or 2 videos a week, depending on like, how that goes. But I'm so excited to be back. If I could be consistent with my transformation journey, I'm very sure that I could be very consistent with coming back to YouTube. And also this time around, it just feels so right and so real. So I'm very excited for all the content I have coming y'all's way. And I'm so excited about this new community that we're about to build. I really hope that this could be like a very safe and comfortable environment for all of us women, for us to just be on this continuous journey of growth, which is why I came up with the name Blooming Bee, because I personally identify as a very busy individual who's definitely trying to continuously bloom in every aspect of her life. So yeah, if all of this kind of sounds like stuff that interests you, please hang tight because I have a lot of content coming. And if you are not already subscribed yet, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and join the family. If you've been watching the video up until this point, please go ahead and comment down below what your favorite quote is, right? And then also make sure to leave a bee emoji so that I know you've been watching up until this point. My favorite quotes, I have 2. One is, where there's a will, there will always be a way. And 2, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so pumped and excited to be back. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.